Tom, it's just a tough subject. A recent study by Brown University showed that nearly 450 children are killed each year by their parents.
My daughters were picked up on a Friday by their father to spend the weekend, and that night he pumped carbon monoxide into their bedroom and slit their throats.
Searches have begun for 2 children killed by their mother in Hopkins County.
9-year-old Hayden King was laid to rest today. Hayden's 4-year-old sister Harper will have a celebration of life service tomorrow morning.
Here's a story that's breaking at 6 o'clock. It's all centered around the 3 people you see on your screen, the key pieces in a Middletown murder case.
On the left is James Hutchinson. Police say the 6-year-old was killed allegedly by his own mother.
East Los Angeles mother was charged today with killing her 3 young children. The youngest was less than 2 months old.
At 6 with breaking news.
Good evening to you, friends. Greg Merriweather along with Elizabeth Vow. Our top story today.
From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work. We will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. And more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you. God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims.
Hey guys, it's nice to see you. Hopefully we're going to be doing better on this live stream. I decided to take it to StreamYard on this particular channel because of everything going on. It looks like the live did finally end on the crime story. I ended up, I am Team Summer ended up dropping a link, and I was trying to pin it, and it ended up taking me over to Seth's YouTube page, and it wouldn't let me come back. And so then I'm sitting there trying to, we all have a button here that says in stream, and whatever reason, my computer is starting to get really touchy, like the pad. That's why it cut off in the middle of that video that about the children, is because I went to move my thing, and it just changed it right to my intro coming in. So long story short, I ended up having to reach out to support because the end stream button was also missing. Like, I went through studio, everything. I even watched a video on how to end it. And there's like, you go here, go here. I did exactly what it did. And my end stream button was literally missing. Whatever I did when I hit that link and went over, it wouldn't let me come back. It wouldn't let me get out. It stuck it in that. It was just weird. I've never experienced that. Usually it lets me come right back in and hitch right where I left off. And I've never had a problem like that before. I mean, we've had where I've accidentally gone off the live, and I've always managed to be able to get back in it. This morning, I could not get back in it to save my life. It like whatever it did, it literally put my system in a fritz. So the live stream has finally ended. I just confirmed that. It did pretty well because everybody was going back in and come back in. That was awful. That had me like literally like I'm cussing behind the screen. I'm like, what in the, what is going on here? What in the world is going on here? Why won't it end my live stream? It just won't end my live stream. So, and of course I'm sitting here cussing, and, Delilah's just looking up at me. It's like, hey, mommy, I'm being good. Like, it's not you, honey. It's not you at all. It's the computer. I want to throw the computer. But I'm glad we got back. We were going to do a live stream here on this channel at 10. We just kind of kickstarted it a little bit earlier than we normally do. That's all. So if you guys are here, thank you. I'm Bullhorn Betty. We're covering the case of Sebastian Rogers. Sebastian Rogers is a 15-year-old autistic boy that disappeared from his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and has not been seen or heard from since. All sightings to date of Sebastian Rogers have been fruitless. The call-ins, the people that were seen have been identified, and they're not Sebastian Rogers. Therefore, the last person that has ever laid eyes on Sebastian Rogers alive is Katie Proudfoot. She is the only person with and around Sebastian Rogers that weekend, to the best of my knowledge. And I have worked diligently to find out if Chris was home that weekend. And according to his neighbors, he was not. According to the videos, he was not. There is no evidence that Chris was in his vehicle at that house any part of that weekend. Now, I would love for that to change, because that would bode right into a lot of my theories, my initial theories. It would actually put the two theories I have removed back into play. So I have been diligently, more than anything else in this world, diligently trying to place Christopher Proudfoot in the immediate area that weekend. And for 4 months, I have not been able to. And then all of a sudden he was at Danny Guy's house playing cards. Okay. I don't need sources revealed, but I need some receipts, because the receipts that I have no problem, because I earned those receipts. I found them myself. And then we have corroborating of the findings that I have with Miss Bobby, stating that that Chris was not there. Another neighbor even stated the only thing odd that weekend was the fact that Chris didn't come home. Oh, absolutely, Alex. I absolutely believe he was in another car. I believe that suspicious car that we seen in that surveillance video was his mother's car, and I believe he was in it. I absolutely do. But that's after the weekend, though. That's at night on Sunday night that I believe that he made his way back to the home, because Katie called him and said, oh, crap, we got a problem here. Whatever. Peter Hyatt is another person that, I wildly respect, and we've discussed him, a few times. Hey, guys. Yes, Delilah is very rambunctious this morning. This is the wiggly body, and as you can see, just in my little holding of her, how rambunctious she is this morning. She is not giving mommy a break. She is all over the place this morning, but she's staying in one spot. She's all over the place here, but she's got her little comfy area. Up. Are you finally tuckering out? Let's see if I can get you to growl. There we go. Oh, come here. Everybody wants to see you. Everybody, why do you keep snuggling under my neck? Everybody wants to see that pretty face. Everybody wants to see the pretty face. You guys got to see her. She said her first words today. If you guys haven't seen that video, I did two of them. One was the paper bag. She had a paper bag, and it was bigger than her body, and she was playing with it, and it was so cute. And then as I'm recording, she decides to start, because I'm on the recliner, and she decides to start coming up and wanting to be a big girl. She tried to jump up on. Oh, it was so cute. And then all of a sudden she couldn't do it. All right, you can get down. All of a sudden she couldn't do it, and she starts yelling at me. It was so cute. I'm like, oh, she's her first words. Her first barks. So we've heard her growl, but that was the first time you heard her actually say something. She's got the cutest little voice. So we were kind of in the middle of, and I think that it dying there was probably good because we were in the middle of discussing the whole Danny Guy thing. I'm sorry, I'm starting to see. I like Terry Lynn, so I'm starting to see where these. But I'm sorry, I've got to corroborate everything that is done. I remember when I talked, and I think I hurt Terry Lynn's feelings because she was trying to help me out and say, I've already done this, I've already done that, and I'm like, Terry, I get it, you've already done it. I have not. This is, I'm doing my work for me. You have to do your work for you, but I have to do the work that I need to do for me and my channel. And I can't take people's word for it. Unless they have receipts to back up their words. I'm sorry. I understand that you've done all this, but I have to go back and do it because I have it. And I have to have the knowledge for myself, and I have to have the knowledge for my channel. I just can't come to you guys. I mean, we walk through a lot of this stuff together. I know everybody, all the hate channels would love to say, oh, I just willy-nilly blow stuff out my butt. We all know that's not true. You guys are here with me. You guys see the work that goes into it. You guys see how we corroborate stuff. And it's like even that 2-hour drive, she had to go like 90 miles an hour to get there in 2 hours. And I still have to challenge that because I don't know if that's still accurate, because being able to cut off, I guess it's possible if you're going 20 miles over an hour, 20 miles. So at 3 hours, that would be 60 miles. I don't know if that's quite an hour, but yeah, I could shave off a significant amount. But who's going to be driving that way if they have someone in their car that's in poor condition? So we have to challenge some of these things. It's not to criticize her in any way. So I don't want it to be, that. But as far as Danny Guy, I have to also take into consideration that there was, there's some bad blood between them. And I don't know why he's being brought up. I know that there's significance, like the fire at the garbage facility, and that being right next to the second generation building. I understand that there are some weird coincidences there, but to say that Chris was back on a Thursday and then that changed to a Friday to play poker when everybody, and I mean everybody, nobody has seen him in that community. It seems like people know who Christopher Proudfoot is, but it doesn't seem like anybody, there's no video evidence that he came home. There's no truck. And yeah, we can make hypotheticals like, oh, well, maybe his mom went and got him. I don't like guessing. I like facts. And the facts are the neighbors have told us over and over again that this man was not there. And I have to believe that. Now, is it possible that he could have? Of course, anything's possible. Anything's possible. We don't know the dynamic. We know that the dynamic in that household was not good at that time. We know that Chris had been coming home every other week since he started that job in Memphis. We know that. But all of a sudden, something happened in January, and we hear of a Department of Children and Family Service inquiry around January 26th. And we hear that Chris left the household at the beginning of February and never returned again until he had to come home when Sebastian was missing. Why all of a sudden in February does he start changing his behaviors? We also learned from Miss Bobby that they had arguments out in their driveway frequently, or periodically, however you want to say it, for the whole entire year and a half that they've lived there. I still need corroboration that they were at Danny Guy's house, because I've been working on trying to place Christopher Proudfoot at this home that weekend for 3 months. 3 months. I am a well-proven researcher, web sleuth. Work has been broadcasted on Paramount. Okay? I know what I'm doing a little bit. Am I an expert? Is there somebody better than me? You're darn right there probably are many people better than me. But I have a clue on how to do research. I have a clue on acquiring information. And I can't acquire this information. and nobody's willing to turn it over. We just have to take words for it. This is true crime. We take nobody's word for crap. If it can't be proven and it can't be corroborated, it doesn't exist. It's rumor. That's how we work. This is the true crime side. This is not the drama side where we just run with any story. And I'm sorry that Terry Lynn's the one that is kind of, I don't want people going over and saying, Betty's calling you a liar. I'm not calling her a liar. I'm actually saying she needs to produce something, because I know that for a fact, the work that I've put into trying to confirm that Chris was at this house that weekend. And I have been hit by his neighbors that no, he was not. So I would have to, I'm trying to balance this fairly. Are we going to listen to the neighbors with their cameras? Are we going to listen to a gal that may have gotten some bad information? Remember, when I started out, I made a lot of mistakes because I was fed a lot of bad information. And I don't see Danny telling her that these people were at the house. I don't see her and Danny having that type of a connection right now. They might. I don't know. But why would Danny tell her some incriminating information that puts him in the hot seat? I don't know. I don't know. But if he has been there, if he was there, I need corroboration. And you guys know I'm a vault. So if Terry Lynn can't trust me with the information, then I'm sorry. It is what it is. I'd like to know where she got the information from and who gave it to her. I don't have to reveal sources either, but I have to corroborate information if you want me to put it on my channel and run it as true. And right now I cannot do that because everything that I've got says this man was not in the community. My research is leading me to believe that he left late Sunday night to make it to the community. But so far, him being there that weekend, I tried for months to place him there that weekend. Literally months. We called neighbors. We had people go out there, boots on the ground. I had people corroborating stuff. I had people there sitting in the crowd when this stuff was breaking. They referred back to me and said, oh, this is what happened. This is what happened. There was a lot of stuff going on there in those days after he went missing. And the one thing I never have been able to place, which I've been wanting to place, was Chris Proudfoot being home that weekend. I literally had to remove 2 of my theories because we corroborated that he was not there that weekend. And now all of a sudden, 5 months later, he was there that weekend. I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. But my research is contradicting, obviously, her research. I don't know what to say. She has more knowledge of people. She has more, but she's, I would just like to corroborate it. If it's true, I want to help support her in her efforts. But everything that I found, it's boding in just the opposite direction. And until something substantial comes forward, I'm still going to say Christopher was not there that weekend. I still believe that he did get there, but it was late Sunday. It might have even been early Monday morning, which is what I really, truly believe. I think it was after midnight that he was there. I think him and Katie's alibis are they were sleeping when they were doing everything but sleeping. Katie does not make me feel warm and fuzzy. She's got a lot of problems. She's demonstrating some very problematic behaviors. And we can all see it. The detachment issues with Sebastian Rogers. She's very detached from him. She's been very detached from him. We hear about his upbringing. We realize that most likely her wanting to have Sebastian really was not to have Sebastian, but to hurt Seth. That's the kind of woman Katie Proudfoot is demonstrating. It's nice to see you all this afternoon or this morning. We're not quite afternoon. Don't rush it. Don't rush it. Wendy, it's nice to see you. Alex, Saint, Trishy, Faye, it's great to see you. Robin, Pink Butterfly, Miss Anonymous, it's nice to have you. Crimson, it's nice to have you. Lori T, Mike Rogers, it's nice to have you. Have you been watching Silver's on the Scene? Yeah, I have. I just little bits and stuff because he's in his car. And I haven't really watched too much of this stuff yet. I heard that he's been doing some really great work, but I haven't had an opportunity to watch him because he's covering kind of the same things that I'm covering. And the same information, but nobody's really sent me a whole lot of his clips of, notable information. So the way I work, just for everybody to know, because I'm back here behind the scenes, I'm doing oodles and oodles of research, every day, filling up, I do things old fashioned way, pen and paper, right? And it's just the way, and I do it this way. A lot of people probably don't understand why I'm so old fashioned when it comes to this. It's because when I write it, I remember it better versus typing it. So there's something about when you write stuff down and you process it through your brain and put it on a piece of paper that it kind of locks in my brain a little bit better. And it reminds me of where things are on here whenever I'm looking for stuff. I may put a little star or circle or do something to pull it out, and I'll remember. I won't remember much, but I'll remember I did this one thing, so I can just look through the stuff and look for that one thing I did to it. And so I just find it easier for me writing everything out. It's just for memory purposes and acknowledgement purposes. It's a little easier for me in the long run, even though it takes a lot more time. What I'm dealing with on these is that I spend so much time researching. And if I come here and I have you guys send me stuff in emails, and I can tell you that if there's an hour-long live and you guys don't direct me to the area, I'll be honest with you. I'll thank you for sending it to me, and I'll delete it. I won't lie. And it's because I don't have the time to watch an hour. If you guys have a specific place that you need me to look at, put that time in there. I'll look at it. But if I got to sit there and watch something for an hour, if it's not an interview, I'm not watching it. I won't watch it. So if there's something in there, notice some people put the link in there, but put the synopsis, like what the reason why they're sending the link is. That's been helpful. But really that marker, if you want me to hear it specifically, I need to have markers there because I don't know. I don't know if you guys know, but I work literally 12 to 14 hours every day and sometimes longer. And that's just with all the work I'm doing now. Can you imagine me having to try to put 10-hour lives that people send to me into that mix? I would literally never sleep. So if there's very specific information in those lives that you want me to hear, you need to direct me to that specific information. If it's just to watch a whole hour and a half, I'm not doing it. I don't have the time. I wish I did. I literally don't have the time because you guys get to see like an hour from me here, but you don't realize the 7 hours of research to give you an hour live. And the reason why we're able to put so much lives out there is because we're well versed in this case because of all the work we've done on this case. The hours and hours and hours of research, the hours and hours and hours of pillaging over interviews. This one doesn't have too many interviews in it. We have Katie and Chris, and we have Seth. Katie and Chris were dominating the airspace for a while. They were trying to manipulate and control the narrative going out. When they realized the gig was up, they kind of went silent. They'll come out and poke their ugly head out here and there to try to get vindication, right? Or pity. Right? I can't believe that he went to a children's hospital. Cut it out, Chris. I went to a construction site. And you're trying to play on the emotions of me going and recording kids at a hospital. And you know damn well that's not what I was there for. I was there to corroborate your BS statement. And we realized it was exactly that, a BS statement. You and your cohorts intentionally set out a rumor that you were there at 5:15. And you know damn well you were not. And you couldn't stand the fact that I was going out there and finding the information. You're probably a little pissed off that we identified your mom's car. Which we did. I can blow that off and say, it's not a scientific fact here, right? Can do that. Then we got Peter Hyatt. We always talked about the 3-hour phone call conversation, right? We talked about the 3-hour phone call conversation. I kept saying there's something with that. It means something. He had to correct us. He had to be transparent with us. He wanted to make sure we knew that law enforcement has already corroborated this phone call. This phone call means something. The way he stated it doesn't sound like many of my beautiful truck drivers and other people that are away from their families. They have lengthier conversations, but this was not customary to them. And you know why it wasn't customary to them? Because he needed to make it crystal clear for transparency purposes. And nobody would even think anything about a lengthy conversation if it was something that they had regularly. The only reason why he was so concerned about people finding out about that, in my opinion, has to do with the fact that they didn't regularly have these 3-hour phone calls. My people in my chat with their trucker wives and their trucker husbands, they have those conversations regularly. It's not a one-off. And he also needed everybody, and I stated this multiple times, Katie needed everybody to believe that she was asleep on the couch and needed everybody to believe that she was asleep in the bed. And the problem is those things don't bode well together. So they had to make up a stupid story like, oh, I was studying and I was falling asleep and Chris had to wake me up on the phone with him for 3 hours. I'm reading. Like who listens to dead space for 3 hours? Do you really believe Chris was on the phone just listening to her breathe and study? How in the world does that ever make sense? And how did anybody believe that? That was one of the first things like, yeah, okay, like I believe that crap, right? That was the first thing out of my mouth when I heard that story. There ain't no way in heck I'm believing that. She's studying, talking on the phone and sleeping? It doesn't make sense. If it doesn't make sense and we're like, there's probably something with it, I'd have to say. And I kind of think that there's just something with it. Well, Peter Hyatt actually concur. Where is that? Is it on my phone? And I want you guys to hear this. Here it is. I want you guys to hear this.
So it's 4 levels to
So I found that Peter Hyatt, who is the analyst, he just put out a new video today, and he's doing a little more analyzing on Sebastian Rogers.
She gives like an intro. We don't need an intro on this one. Wait until she starts talking. Oh, okay.
To us, very crystal clear.
Oh, so okay, we're almost there.
Usual way. I have
I'm not going to play the whole.
It was done.
Okay, so we're right. Let me just go back.
Hour long.
Okay, she clicked the right part. That's why I want to use hers because I don't want to find it.
YouTube under Peter Hyatt. All you have to do is look him up, and you can go watch this video. But I am going to clip this part. So hope you enjoy it. Thanks so much.
This is the major part.
And you have to excuse this. I'm going to change this. It was done in a very unusual way. I have a clip where the stepfather is now talking about what happened. Not her, the one that was home, but him. See if this is audible for you.
It's audible. You don't have to worry about it.
There's actually a piece of, so to make something very crystal clear, so that way there's transparency across the board. Okay. Did everyone hear crystal clear?
Now you guys know why we focused on crystal clear, okay? I'm glad to hear a professional is doing it as well, but some people think that we don't know what we're doing here. And I got to say that I deal with a lot of different behaviors. And a lot of people that tell lies that like, oh, Kelly, thank you for being the newest member of this crazy crew we call the Coffee Club. Welcome to the family, my love. Welcome to the family. And so we honed in on the crystal clear. And I said, every time we hear this crystal clear, it's either it's manipulated. It's a lie. It's some form of a lie. Every time we hear crystal clear or being transparent, yeah, he's going to be transparent because he's got to tell what what law enforcement found, and he's got to explain it because he's got a guilty conscience. Not many people go out of their way to explain all these details. Like I you guys know me. If somebody challenges me, it's like, go do your own damn research. Like, get out of my hair and get off my channel, right? So it's like, why is he going out of his way? Because he's in a self-preservation mode. And we've talked about that at length. So crystal clear, being transparent, listen to what now you guys know who, let me just do some research, or not research. I know who Peter Hyatt is, but I want to be very factual on who Peter Hyatt and what his expertise is. So let me see here. Do they have like a... Okay, so he's a statements analysis. Let me just read some information. Here's the biography about Peter Hyatt. Peter Hyatt is a statement analysis and instructor who teaches statement analysis and analytical interviewing to law enforcement and corporate America. He has authored investigative training manuals for DHHS, the state of Maine, as well as the book Wise as the Serpent, Gentle as a Dove. He has been interviewed extensively on radios, televisions, and nationally televised program, Crime Watch Daily, and Taken Too Soon, the Caitlin Markham story documentary. So he is highly educated in this field. He actually teaches in this field of statements. So this is a man that we want to hear. This is a true professional that teaches his profession. And what he says is very, very important. And I think everybody needs to listen, and listen clearly, crystal clearly. No pun intended. Maybe.
Clear and transparency. I make sure that came through. It's really important. Good. So it sounds okay. This is really important to us. As he's talking now, which I believe is the first time, and he wants to make something crystal clear, and for the sake of transparency, this is important information. This is similar to a bombshell. Me and the mom were on the phone at 9:43 or 9:46 in the evening. We stayed on the phone for quite some time. The call logs have been verified by all the police departments, TBI included. We stayed on the phone. It was very lengthy. Mom did slightly start falling asleep while she was on the couch. I said, hey, you need to wake up, put the dogs up, go to bed. Mind you, that was right around midnight, just before midnight or right around midnight. Mm-hmm. So then Mom does go to bed.
We did talk about the midnight and how important and critical the midnight. Why does it keep doing that? I swear it just keeps this. I'm gonna have to get my mouse, because this mouse for some reason seems hypersensitive all of a sudden. But again, we talked about the midnight too. The midnight is a very key and critical point that Katie has to be asleep by for some unknown reason. We don't know what's going on in this investigation. We can assume, but we truly do not know what's going on in this investigation. And because of that, we have to consider that all of this stuff is faulty and means something. And why is he going out of his way to point this out? Because he's doing damage control, in my opinion. But I'm going to shut up. I'm not going to talk the rest of this time. Thank you, Shelley, for being the newest member of this crazy crew we call the Coffee Club. Welcome to the family, my love.
So there's a couple of issues there that I want to address, including the emotion that he added to her account. There are some problems there with that statement. Now, number one that we look at is that, as far as I know, the criticism that the public was expressing about mother and stepfather had to do with their silence for days. That's all I read. I don't know if there was anything more to that, but that's what I read. It was silence out there. And people did not understand it, and rightfully so. How could you not talk about your child? How could you not run in front of the cameras? How could you not? If he just ran off, wouldn't you want everyone looking for him? So we have that with. So it's strange. In being asked to tell us what happened, we have stepfather using some words that are quite revelatory. He wants things to be clear.
Mm-hmm. Crystal clear.
Okay, we're listening. And he wants to have the interest of transparency.
Interesting.
What isn't transparent? What needs to be cleared up? What is the problem? They were on the phone, he said, for 3 hours. On the phone 3 hours. That phone call is connected to the disappearance of Sebastian Rogers. Not by me, not by the audience, but by the stepfather. Who is the one doing the talking? He's the one telling what happened. He is the one. Yes. And as much as he claims to want to make things clear, he's making things more cloudy, more difficult to discern. While at work, he's on the phone for 3 hours with her. And whatever took place, he wants us to know that she somehow fell asleep while talking to him. So the disappearance of Sebastian Rogers is related directly to that phone call. It is something that he is literally getting out in front of. He's preempting whatever information is going to flow from that.
Now, I just want to let you know that this is an analysis that just came out from Peter Hyatt just in the last 24 hours, I believe. I think it was released yesterday morning. I got to hear it yesterday. I was listening to it. I like Peter Hyatt myself. Him and I have a little degrees of differences. We have an idea of, like, we're pretty much spot on together with what we feel as what is important in this. I've watched him enough that he's hitting on all the key things that I've hit on. But what I like about what the difference is that he feels that the parents used a punishment mechanism that put the son outside of the house. And I truly believe that they are using him walking out of the house as a way to avoid certain type of investigation up front. Now, that has changed. I truly believe that has changed, but it bought them enough time that they were able to do damage control and potentially get rid of solid evidence that could link them to whatever happened, whether they took him out of state, whether they took him to whatever the case may be, or unalived him, which is what I kind of feel at this point has happened, because it's been 5 months. He has no medication. He has not any refills. Even if he was at a monastery or a school, they would have him on his medication. They would have medication prescriptions that they would have to issue on his behalf. None of that has taken place. None of that has taken place. So that's what's leading me to believe the road that I'm leaning down. But they're still, just because I think it, just because I believe it, doesn't make it so. You know, we all the professionals, including in the Charlotte Senna case, didn't believe that girl would have lasted past 24 hours. They found her days later, alive. She's injured, you know, by mental, you know, just a lot of injuries that are not seen by the naked eye. But she's alive. She has an opportunity to recover. She has an opportunity to have a fulfilled life, right? She has this opportunity that many in her position don't get. So when we're looking at Chris and Chris's behavior and hearing this, it makes me, it just solidifies that we have been on and are on the right track. Okay. That's what I gauge from these professionals. You know, I try to get some insight from them as well. But I also gauge myself in my analysis to make sure that I'm getting it right as well. There are some key differences between me and Peter Hyatt's position on this particular case, but the nuts and bolts of it, I think him and I are pretty much, eye to eye with. So I just, you know, and the reason why I say that is because, again, it does make me feel like we're analyzing this correctly. We're not professionals. I don't teach schools for this stuff, right? Most of this stuff is self-taught from research and just really studying people's behavior in psychology and criminology, victimology, learning all about, you know, what a victim's behaviors were in and around before something like this happened, or what their behaviors would be during something like this. And criminology is about the criminal, and their behaviors. So I'm not necessarily a statements behavior person or a body person, but I utilize all this stuff that I'm learning and I use it for the benefit of this channel. And it's nice to see that I got a good understanding of this because I didn't go to school for it. And so hearing these things help make, you know, and if I'm off, it also teaches me that I need to do better research, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. So I'm constantly learning as well by these professionals to hone my skill. So hearing this and hearing that we've been talking about these points for some time, it makes us understand that we are looking and analyzing this stuff correctly. We did have a problem with that 3-hour conversation. We knew that 3-hour conversation was important. We knew it was a weird behavior for them to do that. We knew there was something not right with her story about stuff. It's just like she couldn't figure out what she wanted to be doing during that time of talking to her husband. It seems like people wouldn't believe she was just talking to her husband, so she had to add some other stuff into it. I was studying a chapter for DeVry. How long does that take? Because it doesn't sound like it sounds like Sebastian went to bed at 9, according to this newest statement. And that she was on the couch studying her chapter, is what she said. She was reading a chapter. She didn't say chapters. On the Nancy Grace show, she was very singular, chapter. So how long does it take to read a chapter? Could it take 43 minutes? And that's when she decided to call her husband? Or was she attempting to try to study when she was being distracted by her son? Is this something that was premeditated, that Katie planned all by herself and in her head? She was having marital problems. She didn't want her ex-husband getting Sebastian because she does not like him. She wants to hurt him as much as possible. We heard in the interview with Seth that he was, you know, Chris was kind of, he was a barrier between him and Katie. He was acting like the good guy. We know about those good guys. Those good guys can really be bad guys at times, right? And it makes us always side-eye the good guys anymore. And we have a lot of great good guys, but it's always the ones in sheep's clothing that make us skeptical of all the real good guys. And this guy, and Chris seems like the kind of person that was so manipulative. Like, he went into the woods with Seth to look. And I think, if you had anything, like, how could you do that? Knowing what you knew. And going out there with the biological father to make yourself look like the good guy. and helping him search for his son that you know where he's at. Like I can't describe the anger and frustration that puts in me and over me. That somebody would do something like that. But it's not surprising. They got to cover their butts. Cover their butts. And the more they try to cover their butts, the more that comes out. Like his mom being at a general store before anybody knew this child was missing. How did that happen? Kathy seems very eager to help, doesn't she? So much so she's getting up that time of morning, or did she just not sleep? Definitely a family affair, in my opinion.
He thinks that this needs transparency. It's an uh-oh moment. And I think that puts the time of whatever happens to Sebastian, a time frame for police, in there.
Hold on. Sorry, I had to stop it for just a second. There we go. All right, Cheeky Chops, I just sent you a text. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, whatever happened to him was around that period of time. She needed to talk about it. And how many of you have had 3-hour conversations as if it's a norm?
And I want to clarify that because we have truckers in here. We have truckers. We got female truckers and we got male truckers that watch this show. And we got truckers' wives that watch this show. And so I do believe that there are people out there that have these conversations. They have to because they're separated from each other so long. So that's their only connection. But the problem here is this was not normal for them. And the reason why I know it's not normal for them, I'm making an assumption here when I say it's not normal for them because of how he had to address it. And I think that's what Peter Hyatt's point is. If this was, and at the end of the day, I'm going to dovetail. If this was something that they did regularly, he wouldn't have had to be transparent about it. Because it would be, when you do something regularly, like brush your teeth, do you think I come here every morning and say, don't worry, guys, I brushed my teeth this morning, right? I think that when I turn the screen on, you guys automatically assume that I brushed my teeth, even as Bedhead Betty, okay? I brushed my teeth. I don't think I need to come here and tell you guys before I go live, I brushed my teeth. I don't think I need to tell you that because it's something I do every single day. So if this is a call, like even these people, when like the truckers, they don't call and say, tell us everything that they talked about on the 3-hour conversation, but they tell us that we regularly have every night. We have 3-hour conversations. Sometimes they have these conversations while they're long hauling the products across the country because they're in the trucks for hours and hours amen. So really all they can do is either talk on their phone or listen to the radio. So sometimes their partners keep them company when they're on the road, right? So most of them, when they say they talk to their wife, they're not saying, oh yeah, I talked to my wife for 3 hours. Then, oh no, tonight I talked to her for 4 hours. They just say I talked to my wife. This man is going out of his way to tell us the length of time he talked to his wife. It seems odd. It seems odd.
But he's mentioned it when a child goes missing. And then he says, you have a worried mother. Okay? We call that artificial editing. Artificial editing. That is where someone then edits in emotions. Edits in emotions where they may not yet exist. We know that any mother of a missing child is going to be worried. It's unnecessary to tell us.
Maybe because she really wasn't worried. So they have to, I don't know.
However, in a storyline, it becomes necessary to convince people
Convincing
that
language.
she was worried. Which tells us they're withholding information. they're withholding information. So we had this controlling guy taking over the narrative, doing some editing, which also gives us a little bit of insight into how he speaks in terms of
how manipulative.
I call him, because we've had plenty of samples of his language, a manipulator who's very confident in his own words to get things over. Okay, he's involved in Sebastian's disappearance, and that phone call is the connection.
I knew it.
So we have the silence from the mother, not calling 911, but calling him. Then we have, so something's wrong. Maternal instinct, boom, right to the police right away. Then the second silence we have is the quietness. The 6 days of silence, of not reaching out, not calling out, not insisting the public look for him, but insisting he walked out the door. And then we have another silence where she is finally being interviewed and has very little to say. Autism would eventually change that. But those are maternal instincts that have been squelched down for a reason. So if he met his demise in the home, because I believe there was some form of altercation, and thus far, I have been considering that either they put him out, because whatever it is, he's in it too. They're in it together. Or he ran off under distress, including barefoot, or something worse happened there.
Or something worse happened there. I'm going to leave it at that because, again, Peter Hyatt believes that he was put out by the parents as some form of punishment, or at least that was one of his theories up front. We don't know if that holds water. I think as we're learning more about this case, I think that we're, at least me, I never really entertained that they put him out. But that was prior to me because I believe they were very private people, would never take their business out in the front yard. And that was diffused by Miss Bobby in her statements, right? So we've corroborated that they don't mind having fights out in the front yard. Therefore, my analysis into why that Sebastian wouldn't be put out was faulty because I basically was basing that off of their privacy and the fact that they wouldn't bring stuff out to the public. They wouldn't want that their neighbors looking at them like that. But clearly they had some altercations, verbal altercations out in their front yard. And I believe that the neighbors did hear them call Sebastian horrible names. And I believe they also heard him tell her it's him or her son. I think that's where that came out. I don't think that that's rumor. I think that that is statements of the neighbor that they overheard. Hey, Guidance, it's nice to see you, my love. So we have a lot of things going on here with this case. We've got a lot of, opinions rolling around, from expert opinions to layman opinions on the topic when it comes to Sebastian Rogers. Although my theories have changed on who could have carried this out, I think all the parties have remained the same. And I also believe that something happened to this child inside of that home. I believe that something happened to this child inside of that home by Katie. And I believe that Katie had an oh shit factor moment. And what does she do when an oh shit factor moment happens? You call your friend, right? We've seen this before in the past. You call your BFF to come help you. Who's her BFF? Her husband. Who was the first call she made? Her husband. Who was the first call she made in the morning? Her husband. You get the picture? These are odd behaviors. Most parents don't do that. If you had, and I think that each and every one of us need to just take a few moments, kind of step back, especially parents, whether you're a mother or a father, if you have children in your home, even a step parent, I want you guys to put yourself in a situation like this, okay? And I want you guys tomorrow morning, Saturday, maybe just go back to this morning, maybe just rehatch this morning, your behaviors this morning, right? You go in to wake your child up and your child is gone. What do you do? I think naturally all of us would take a look around our house. What are you doing? It's too early for this type of pranks. We don't have time for this morning, right? Little Johnny, come on. Come out from wherever you are. Johnny? I can see me going around the house and looking in. I wouldn't just immediately call 911. I'm not one of those 911, immediately call 911 over, because at this point I'd have to think that this couldn't be happening, right? You're in a state of denial because you live this boring life, right? Nothing like this would ever happen to you. So I have to think that initially you initially for those few moments you're thinking you're overreacting. And you're not wanting to call the cops because you're convincing yourself you're overreacting. I like, for me, I feel like that's the way my brain would be. It'd be like, just like this, he's got to be somewhere. Nothing like this would happen, right? We had a great day yesterday. We were amazing. We're tight. So it's like, okay, where is he? And then you're going to be going outside saying, hey, Johnny, where are you? Are you out here playing? You need to get your butt in here and eat your breakfast. Where are you? And then I'd probably pick up the phone, call down to the neighbor friend that that the kid goes to every now and then and say, hey, have you seen my son? No, we haven't seen anything. I'd probably call over to the neighbor. Can you look at your videotape and tell me if you've seen my son walking out? He had to have walked out just in the last, hour. Can you just go through fast forward and see if you see him? Call back. No. Now panic would be setting in. About 10 minutes, 15 minutes of not finding a kid. Now I'd be a little concerned where I may call my significant other and say, I can't find him. Should I call law enforcement? You know what I'm saying? Just to give somebody else to reassure that I'm not freaking out and making a mountain out of a molehill. I just, for my personality, I feel like that would be my process. And it'd be like, he's not here. He's not here. No, he's not here. Yeah, you need to go ahead and call law enforcement. I'd hang up and be calling law enforcement. Get law enforcement there and then be on the phone with my significant other, giving them a play-by-play. I can see that be more of for me and my personality than and maybe you guys would be different. But for me, it seems like there would be a delay of me just immediately calling 911. I think I would go through this like this can't be happening phase before you kind of get snapped out of it and say, oh my God, this is actually happening, So, I try to play the tape through and be as much of an average Joe as possible when trying to process and analyze, how I would personally behave. But there are some limitations to that. One is I am not a parent, right? I do not have my own children. I married into children and I got to watch two of 3 grandchildren being born. That's probably the closest to, I'm probably the closest to my grandchildren that I am my stepdaughter. But at the end of the day, there are limitations to my thought process because I feel like if you don't have a child, I believe people are nurturing by nature, but I think the paternal, like the motherly instinct that you get from your own spawn, you know what I'm saying? I feel like is a different type of connection than say one that I even have with my stepdaughter or my grandchildren. Do I love my grandchildren? I absolutely do. They are my grandchildren. You never hear me say they're my step grandchildren. Right? You never hear me say that because they're not. They're my grandchildren. Like, don't be messing with my kids, But I feel like there's a level there of connection that you have with your own child that only a mom can have. I really believe that. And sometimes parents freak out quickly, right? So I just think that there is at least a few minutes there of disbelief, that you're almost trying to convince yourself this isn't happening. And I have to think that would prevent somebody from immediately calling 911. Some people just don't care. They'd rather be safe than sorry. There's just, mentalities like that. I know there's some people in here that's like, oh, I know my child's supposed to be here. They're not here, 911. And they'd rather, have the cops here and their child walk up and say, I'm sorry for wasting your time than not getting right on it, because that's just how some parents are. They know the behaviors of the children. They know that this is definitely not right. And they immediately call. And, and in many of those cases, the kid's just like, hey, I'm coming back in the house? What did you do? You find out the kid, snuck out of the house at night or something like that. But there are some parents that would immediately call. They say, they know something's not right. They'd rather be safe than sorry. If they waste law enforcement's time, I'm sorry, they'd rather waste law enforcement's time than waste waste critical time. So I understand that dynamic too, but we have to realize there are two different sides of this, and we can't criticize somebody for taking their time and going through the disbelief process, because I can tell you, I would be one of those disbelief process. You wouldn't have me calling law enforcement like in the first 2 or 3 minutes. Like, I'd have to go through, because I'd be in this can't be happening phase. Like, I know my child's got to be over at a friend's house or something. Aw, thank you, Charlie. God bless you. I have no kids, but I was a teacher for 35 years, and I know a lot because I was a mandated reporter. Yeah, and that's got to be tough. I got to tell you, that's got to be pretty tough being a teacher, and seeing some stuff, because I have to think, teachers are our line of defense for our children, our most vulnerable and abused children. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind people's closed doors, and these young people are silenced. And so, our teachers are amazing in being able to identify their students not acting right or not behaving right. And they have a way of talking to their students and building a rapport with their students. So I can't imagine what teachers go through. And especially, I have to imagine that teachers, they don't get paid a crap, right? So a lot of our teachers do this as a labor of love. They do it because they want better for just like law enforcement. They don't make the best money in the world. They do it because of a passion to do good in their community. And I think teachers are much like that. Most teachers want to teach. They get pleasure in teaching others and teaching others properly. But they also have a connection with their students. And I have to imagine that it's hard to not have a connection with your students. You see them every day. It's almost like a bond that you form with them. And to hear some of these stories probably has to break somebody's heart. It has to break your heart. I don't even want to even imagine some of this stuff. I mean, I know that my law enforcement friends, some of the stuff they see, it makes me wonder why they're not in a padded room. And I think, we see teachers and we see them as sweet people and stuff like that, but they have to deal with a lot, and they've got to deal with a lot of emotional stuff too, especially when it comes to their students and what their student struggles with. Some of these things we're living in a very disgusting society. We're living in a very disgusting society, and I don't understand it. I don't know if we ever will. But our society, what people are wanting to be the norm for our society and our people, is disgusting. It's disgusting. I don't understand how a grown man gets joy or grown women, out of children. But we're dealing with that with a pastor right here in my own backyard. I mean, we just live in a disgusting world, and we have got to shelter as much as we can our children from it. But there's got to be some responsibility on our part, so when we throw them out into the world, they're not shocked by it too. So we have to let some of it infiltrate, which is problematic. We have over 400 people in chat. If you guys can go out and give me a thumbs up, and also come back in here, tell us your number, where you are from, and what the weather is like. Yesterday, I was concerned about rain, but today, even this morning, when I had this little squirt outside, it was blazing hot here in Florida. I'm in Manatee County. I'm on the west coast of Florida, and I am sandwiched between Tampa and Sarasota. Manatee County is right in the middle of the two. And it is hot. It is, I think we might have storms this afternoon. It seems like we have a little bit of storms every time. We're in our hurricane season here for Florida. And we already had Beryl, and it did catastrophic damages in the islands. So hopefully we have more of a calm hurricane season, but I don't anticipate that being the case, because it sounds like our waters are very, very warm, and that is what really energizes hurricanes, is warm water. So until the water cools off, it's going to generate these horrible, horrible storms and depressions out there in the Gulf and other places. I think Beryl was heading toward Mexico, but the next one might be heading toward us. That was the largest. That hurricane made history. It was one of the first largest hurricanes we had at that magnitude that early in our hurricane season. It went down in the records. It went down in the record books. So that's not the kind of records we want. Unfortunately, it just isn't. My older kids, stepkids, wouldn't leave without telling me or their dad where they were going. Yeah. But you know what? A lot of parents this day, and oh, thank you. Thank you. God bless you. There's a lot of people this day and age that, because of their upbringing and stuff, have decided to be friends. I don't know who's teaching. I think there is somebody teaching that you need to be friends with your kids. I absolutely believe you should have a friendly relationship with your children. But at the end of the day, you are a parent. And your children do not know better than you. And you have got to teach your children. And sometimes you need to be the authoritarian. I see far too many parents trying to be buddy-buddy with their kids and be friends with their kids, that they allow their children to do things that they should not be doing because they're too busy trying to be their friend and not their parent. And it's because of their upbringing. Maybe their parents were so strict on them, they couldn't stand it. And they swore that they would never be that parent to their children, that they went completely in the opposite. Children need guidance. They need boundaries. Because when they go out in the real world, they need to limit those boundaries for themselves. I don't know. I just think there's a lot more we could do out there. It's sad that these parents are unaliving their children. It's sad that the children are unaliving their parents. But again, we live in a very despicable time in our country and in our world right now, where we have to go hunt down 200 children and pull them out of HT. It's problematic. Aw, Deez, you're in Pasco. Aw, that's so sweet. I'll have to start going around. I know we have some Florida people. I may do some, maybe I'll do some stuff up north, middle and south. I'm going to be down south next week. So, but I'd like to do, stuff where I can meet you guys. I love meeting my audience whenever I can. It does get, when people reach out to me and I'm in the community, I will go out, and if there's just a few people, and meet them individually. But if we start getting where we need to meet more than just like 3 or 4 people on a trip, then I'm just going to do like maybe a lunch or dinner. I know some people do drinks, but I really am not a drinker. So it's like, and I don't drink on the job. So I wouldn't be going to a bar or something like that, but I wouldn't mind going to like a restaurant or something with a patio or I love coffee. The coffee houses. If I can find a local coffee house, good Lord. I really think I love coffee so much. It seems stupid for me not to own a coffee company or a coffee shop. I'm serious. Like, I know a good coffee when I taste it. Like, I'm a coffee connoisseur, right? Me too, Miss Anonymous. Me too. It's probably why I bounce off the walls. Little Bits is sleeping. She's finally sleeping. It was so cute because I was so tired this morning, and so like 3:30 rolls around, and she woke me up. She put her cold nose next to mine at 3:30. So I take her out and she goes pee. And so I pick her back up and come right back. And, we both climb back in bed, and I roll over and go to sleep. But when I wake up and I go to sleep, I'm 10 times harder to wake up. So I'm sleeping here. And then all of a sudden this dog is like, pulling at my hair, licking my face, licking my nose. And I guess she had been doing it a while. I must have been out. And so she's trying to wake me up, and I'm like, hey, she's like, dude. I wake up and I'm like, hi, how are you doing? I look at the time, I'm like, oh crap, it's 6:30. I'm like, and I knew exactly what that look was. And she's like, hey, Ma, I gotta go potty, So she's waking me up. So I take her out and she does her business. She does 1 and 2. So I was really proud of her. So we did the happy dance in the middle of the yard. I'm glad my neighbors go to work. Yeah. And I don't want them seeing me do some crazy stuff. Except with the neighbor. I think one of the neighbors were home seeing me do the happy dance in the front yard. But that's okay. She got the happy dance. She was really happy. So far today, she's made 0 accidents in the house. She's woke me up twice to tell me to take her out potty. So I think this little girl, as young as she is, she's doing pretty stinking good. And no, I have not crate trained her yet. Her and I hang out all day long. It's really hard to crate train her. I'm having a hard time crate training her. I'm having a hard time doing it. Not that she doesn't need it. So I'm going to have to try to get her in that. But you know what? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put her in her crate and I'm leaving. I'm going to let her deal with her crate. I'm going to go to the grocery store, not a long trip, just like a 15 or 20 minute trip to the store, and just get her acquainted with her crate. So I can see how she is, she can adjust and self-soothe herself. I'll put a couple toys in there with her. But I'd like to see if she can self-soothe. But I can tell you, I'm having a hard time because I'm in here working, and when I go out, and she's literally like, she's like right next to my side. Like she just chills, I never put mine in a crate. Yeah, but it's a little different because I travel and I've got to get her crate trained. I've got it because not only just for me, but for if I have to have somebody watch her, she, and they have to do things, she's got to be able to be comfortable in a contained spot because she's still a puppy. I can't have somebody watching her and my dog destroy their house. So, and she does get in, she is rambunctious, so she does get in. She's pretty good. Like she hasn't chewed on my cords yet. And the worst thing that's happened so far, I don't know if you guys can see this. Maybe not. You guys can't see it. Let me take this off. You guys know where I'm at. I really don't care. I just put this up because I like it. I like the judge thing behind it. Like law and order. There you go. So this is about the worst thing that happens, right? You guys see that? She hasn't gotten to the cords yet, but she loves paper. She loves paper. She, like I said, eating the whole homework thing. I never believed. I always thought it was a joke, right? I always thought it was a joke. People trying to get away with not doing their homework. And I find out that's not the case. Dogs really eat homework. I know my dog almost ate my notes. I had to pull them from her. I believe you now. I believe you. All those people that did detention unnecessarily. I think there's class action lawsuits available. No, I'm just joking. But we believe you now, okay? It just takes me having a puppy to realize that dogs actually chew homework and paperwork and just about anything that they can put their little mouths on. But it seems like she's attracted to more paper stuff. I think it's so thin, it lets her chew and gnaw on it with her cutting her teeth and stuff. So I'm trying to teeth her. I'm trying to get these. I wish these teeth would come in quicker than not, but we got a little bit. Every single dog I've had so far, I've been able to acquire a tooth. Like when they're shedding their baby teeth and getting their adult teeth, I've got a box of my dog's teeth, and she's not going to be any different. I'm going to try, but she's the smallest. So I don't know, if I'm going to find her teeth. It was a little easy with Layla because Layla was a Labrador. Her teeth were a lot bigger. So when she started like losing her canines, like it was just moving there. I just went over there and it was just on a little piece of gum. And so I pulled it off and I was able to keep that. But there were some of her little teeth down here that they say that when they fall out, they swallow them. But not intentionally. It just happens. So there's a few teeth. I was able to get the canine teeth and the molars off Layla. I got one canine, one molar off America. And you know what? I don't know. I think I did get one of Chance's canines. But I have one tooth from every single one of the dogs. I need to give those to Vince because they're really Vince's. But the dogs are definitely sentimental. I love dogs. I don't know. I'm glad she's here. I'm glad she's here. My doggie has severe separation anxiety. She's a rescue who lost her original owner to no crate for her. Well, this one doesn't have any anxieties that I know of. She does have, like, when she doesn't see me, she starts whimpering, but I think that's just a puppy thing. She's just now starting. But like when I put her on the floor and she's playing with her stuff, she doesn't even know whether I'm there or not. She gets to playing and she just, that's the time. But when she's sleeping or when she's playing on her rug in the living room. That's when I kind of get everything together and start working really hard to try to get stuff cleaned up, because this house is a hot mess, because I came from my vacation, or not my vacation, but the search for Sebastian. And then I went over to Virginia, and I just came home and got her. So it took me like I had to, when she was down, I had to clean up all of that stuff. Like if you guys see what I carry to these trips and stuff, I bring half a house with me. So it's a lot. So unpacking and packing is a lot. That's why whenever I go out, I don't want to go out for day trips, because it for me to pack up that truck, it's a lot of work. And it's a lot. It's a lot to get out to one of these things. That's why when I go out, I want to get as much done on the trips as possible, because I don't like packing and unpacking. I have to do it all by myself. I'm the only one here, you know? And I take half the house with me. I have to have a freaking 80-pound backpack on me at all times. Don't let her sleep in your bed. She'll pee on your. No, she hasn't peed on the bed not one time, Rodney. She's been in here since I've been back. She wakes me up, but she stays right next to me. She does not move too far from me. Anywhere I'm at, she's literally 10 feet away from me. But in this bed, she hasn't peed in this bed not one time. Not one time. And like this morning, if it wasn't for her waking me up, she probably would have. But she woke me up twice to let me know she needed to go potty. So I thought that was pretty good. So I'm comfortable with her being in the bed. I'm getting more comfortable. The way I'm looking at it, she sleeps all day. Every time she wakes up, I take her outside. Problem solved. And I make her stay out there until she whizzes, because every little puppy always has enough fluid in them for a whiz, you know? So I wait until she whizzes. If I see her running around and in like circles of stuff, I'll stay out there a little bit more, because I know she's trying to get stuff moving. So I let her move it along. And then I bring her back in. So far, she's been pretty good. Today's been so far that at this time of the day that we've had zero accidents. And we didn't really have accidents. Like, I have puppy pads. So she will use the puppy pads. But it's usually just for pee. She's been pooping outside. So I'm happy with that. It was one thing I don't like, is having to clean up poop. I did have to clean up a little bit. It's just, it's a little baby chihuahua. It's not much. Looks like a peanut. Oh yeah, she woke me up. She literally licked my nose. I went to bed. I was exhausted. I think I'm finally catching up all the sleep I lost at the beginning of the Sebastian Rogers case. So I got up at 3 this morning and took her out, and she peed, and we came right back in, and we both went right back to sleep. But I must have fell asleep hard, because the next thing I know, she's licking my nose, and I'm like, hey. And I look out, and I'm like, oh, it's light out. I don't wake up during light. I'm always up in the dark. And so I saw the light, and I'm like, crap. I look at the time, it's 6:30, and she's just sitting here looking at me like, hey, Ma, I'm ready to go. And she had to go. As soon as I put her down outside, she popped right there and peed. And then she ran around to the side and she pooped. So she's she let me know. She's just a tiny little thing too, but she's so sweet. Buy silicone puppy toys. I think that's what these, I don't know if that's what these things are here. But I've been buying stuff for her, and they're like, you know, this is like, I had this, but this was just a little too thick for her mouth. And so this one right here, I had to buy a little bit of a thinner one. And she's been using this one a lot better. They do have thicker ones. As she gets older, she's got thicker ones here. This one, I don't know if she'll ever get her little mouth around. That's a pretty thick one. But I don't know. She's been cutting her back teeth. So this is the one that she likes for the back teeth right here. So she will get on here and she'll gnaw on this one. But she really likes these knots too. Like she get in this soft, like this is really soft. Like fabric. It's ultra soft. And so, but she likes these knots. And so she'll get that knot right. Like, it looks like it's about choking her. It looks like it's about to choke her. And she gets the knots and everything like that. So I don't know. It's working. She loves this little thing too. This right here is just flat. Karen got it for her. But she'll grab like this thing, like she comes up to like this on here. So she, like the whole head's following her. And it's so cute because she's got this little mouth and she's got this big old yellow thing and she's dragging it all over the place. But she likes this one. So I guess her keeps her occupied. Keeps her occupied. Aw, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I agree. I want to see receipts, not someone saying, yeah, we can't go off that. It's not that I don't trust Terry Lynn, but let's say, what if she misunderstood? What if what if it was the weekend before or 2 weekends before? What if, you know what I'm saying? Like, and not only that, but if she's relying on somebody else's statement, what if they're wrong? What are their motivations? There's just a lot here. There's a lot here. This case has been infiltrated with a lot of untruths that are being injected by some people. And I just want to know, I don't want her to reveal her source. I don't need to know who it is. But I do need some receipts to corroborate it, because for 3 months, I've been trying to corroborate something like this, and I have not been able to. And yes, Danny has come up in my research, but not to this extent. And I gotta, and at the end of the day, Terry Lynn has admitted having a relationship with this guy. Is this, I don't want to say it like that, but we always have to look at everything. Not that it's true. I'm just saying that it could be speculated that there may be some frustration between the two of them. And so I just don't want that being snowballed into something that it's not. I don't know if I can't corroborate it. I have to say it's rumor, even if it's coming from Terry Lynn. I love Terry Lynn. I share her searches and everything else like that. But at the end of the day, she's told me something else as well that I went and was able to corroborate it completely opposite. So I have to take that into consideration as well. And I hope she's not listening to somebody that might be leading her down the wrong path. I don't know. I was hoping to meet up with her and stuff like that. I didn't get the opportunity to meet up with her. So I know she's a ballsy lady. She's a great lady. And I have to believe that if she's saying this, she heard it from somebody. I don't think, if you ask me, do I think she's just pulling it out of her ass? No, I don't. But I need to know a little more than this, because for 3 months I've been looking for something just like this. This right here is coming out of left field. The story has already changed from Thursday to Friday. That's never good in a story that needs to be believed. So we've got some problems with the story itself. You can't mistake a Thursday with a Friday. I'm sorry. There's just no possibility, in my opinion. But I'm not always right. Kelly, thank you for becoming the newest member. Shelly, God bless you. Oh, Trishy, it's nice to see you. Thank you so much. God bless you. God bless you. Crimson, keep the faith. Thanks so much. Thank you all for being here this morning. That's pretty much all I have. I'm still working on our 10 o'clock comparison. As you can see, some of the stuff we talked about is a direct result of that work. It's just we're building up to the actual show. So hopefully I have plenty of time today. It's only 11 o'clock right now to finish up the rest of the stuff for the show for tonight. And hopefully we will have it's going to be lengthy. So if you guys are wanting to be over in an hour like our normal shows are, it's probably not going to be. It's probably going to be at least 2 hours or more. So if you guys are ready for that, we're going to be going through a bunch of stuff, bouncing around, really trying to pack this together so we can see where the issues are, what issues have had to modify themselves, and what the reasons for those modifications. Like if they're making changes in their story, we need to understand why they're making those changes. And I think we will. Oh, she does have a big heart. She does. If you guys go through my community post, you guys know I support her. I'm just saying that my research is not voting with her information. And I'd like to find out why. There may be a reasonable explanation for it. But at this point, I can't figure it out. That's all. It's about as simple as that. But I corroborate everything. It doesn't matter whether you're my friend, whether I don't know you, whether you're my mother. Okay. If my mother brought me this story, I would corroborate it. Okay. I'm just letting you know, like it is across. I just want to make sure everybody's aware. It is across the board, just like that. It is not picking on any person. If my mama brought me this, I would have her corroborate. If she couldn't corroborate it, I wouldn't run in it. You see what I'm saying? So I just want to make sure everybody knows that this is not special for one particular content creator or another. I do this for every single one, every single lead. There are so many people, I guarantee there's many of you that are sitting in here that have emailed me and stuff like that, and we've had conversations. You know, I don't have a problem having conversations, but I have to have information, and the information has to make sense, and the information has to be plausible, and the information has to be true. I don't know the people that are around Danny, Guy, and the Proudfoots, but I got to think that they're all a bunch of liars. And they're all running damage control and interference. And nobody would know what's going on inside Danny's house other than Danny or somebody that knows Danny giving that information to Terry Lynn. And I'd have to ask what their motivation is for telling her that. Is it to throw a case off? Gotcha. Well, the problem is, you know, sometimes we have to be on here. We deal, you know, I watch things. If things are breaking and somebody's breaking it, I'll watch it whether I like them or not, if it's a case that I'm involved in. But for the most part, like these hate channels, they don't even give good I will never go to a hate channel to listen to an interview because they don't know how to interview. They're idiots. They're felons that don't even have a proper education, much less know how to give a proper interview. Their stuff is always hand-fed to their audience, so you can't even get a good baseline for them. It's garbage. So I don't ever worry. Any hate channels don't send me their interviews because there's no way that they're doing a proper interview. And I can't get anything out when they're feeding their person their answers that they want. I can't. It's a hot mess. So I can only look at these interviews that are done by reputable people. And even though I don't really, I just want to make this statement. And I hope Duchess is listening. I didn't have any qualm with Duchess until I heard that she reached out to Chris and Katie and dogged Olivia. You don't need to dog anybody. Olivia is an amazing and a hell of a lot better than you, Duchess. I'm going to tell you that right now. She is a better creator. She has amazing talent. And you pale, or she pales in comparison. You pale in comparison to her. You pale in comparison to her. And how dare you ever talk about a content creator you haven't even had a conversation with, that you heard rumors about. And after that, Duchess, I never have respect for you again, but you were one of the better ones because even though you were force-feeding answers to them, in your interview, helping them along, which is what I can't stand. You criticized another creator, not just another creator, a creator that was better than you. Better than you. And so that lost me a lot of respect in that lady. She probably will be promoted from this case and this case alone. But from this point on, Duchess, me and you ain't going to be buddy-buddy, which I'm sure you don't care about, especially hanging out with Arctic Fox, which has done nothing. He's never done talk to me or anything. I've done great work, and that man has done nothing but dog me. Dog me for 3 freaking years. And apparently so have you if you have him on your channel. So as far as I'm concerned, you guys don't do good research. Because had you done good research, you wouldn't fell into the bullshit where you have to tell somebody that Chronicles of Olivia, watch out for her. Watch out for Betty. Why does everybody have to watch out for me? Because I get it right? Because I don't pander to your bullshit? Because I'm looking for the truth, not the clicks and the views? Gotta watch out for Betty. Olivia's a hell of a lot better than Duchess will ever be. I'm a hell of a lot better than that lady will ever be. So the next time she wants to sit there and criticize, I'm going to bring down the damn hammer on all of her bullshit and feeding her shit parents that do terrible things to kids and how she feeds them information to help them answer her questions properly. You can take that shit to the bank, Duchess. Talk about Olivia again. I double dog dare you. I'll double dog dare you. That really got under my skin, as you guys can tell. One of the things that you want to beat Bullhorn Betty up, I'm used to it. But when you go after, like, she's like a kid sister to me. You better buckle up. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. But hey, next time you do an interview, here, let me give you some professional advice, Duchess. Maybe just ask the damn question instead of force feeding them or wanting them to know, I understand this. When do I do that? When does any interviewee do that? Cut it out. If you want to be a professional and people take you professionally, act like it. Ask the damn questions. Quit force feeding the answers in there for them. Quit saying, oh, well, it could have been this, or could it have been this, or could have been this. Let them just answer the question you ask. Just saying. So hopefully somebody clicks that and sends that over to Duchess for me. But don't ever come after Olivia again, because the next time you want to dog Olivia, I'm going to go into your live and I'm going to clip every bullshit you got wrong. And I'm going to show exactly to the world why they don't need to watch your shit. Lady, take that to the bank. God bless. Have a great day. Don't be talking about my Olivia. I'm telling you, that got me under my skin. And she came in the chat and I'm thinking she's a nice lady. I didn't know her. I didn't know. And then I saw, of course, Arctic Fox, and I know how much shit he's given me over the years. And so I'm like, okay, well, I don't still didn't. But it wasn't until I got corroboration from a person that spoke directly to her and her having something come out of her mouth about Olivia. And watch out for Bullhorn Betty. Maybe you should take that advice, lady. Just saying. Just saying. So now we're going to get on. Actually, it's already 1 hour and 30 minutes. There's a couple spots that I want you guys to hear here before I go. They're going to have to have a whole coalition of assholes to come after me. You know that? Oh, that's right. They have had a whole coalition for 3 years, and I'm still standing with an amazing platform, by the way. An amazing platform that just keeps growing while theirs are stagnant. And I wonder why. Probably because people are realizing their crap is crap. We know that Katie woke up normally at 6 a.m. and we've discussed that. And she should have been in her pajamas. But there's other stuff here. Where is the corroboration or the malice statement? There it is. There's one spot I want you to hear. Actually, there's... There's one spot here, a section here. It's about a 2-minute section on the green shirt interview, and it starts about 15 minutes and 45 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and cue this up. And we're going to listen to this because, to be honest with you, and I don't like this one because...
country rock.
You can't, it won't let you bring... Let me see if it'll let me drag. It won't let you drag it forward to the right spot that you need it. Well, it did just then, but it has not. It's been very difficult for me. See, it won't drag.
So I have a
15.
Is.
Right.
I guarantee you he is loved. And trust me, the open arms are waiting for him to come home. From every parent to every family members to probably everyone in the community.
I disagree.
There's no malice. We just want our...
There's no malice. Let me get back to that. He says there's no malice. What is he talking about? They're talking about the family is waiting for him to come home. And he's talking about malice. That is a legal terminology that a crane operator would not have in his vocabulary. This implies lawyer. They spoke to a lawyer.
And trust me, the open arms are waiting for him to come home. From every parent to every family members to probably everyone in the community. But there's no malice. We just want...
There's no malice. There's no I don't know what this is a weird statement for him.
Our boy home.
There's no malice. We just want our boy home. He's basically saying nobody's done anything wrong. What does malice mean? Let me read you the legal term. Let me read you the legal term of malice. Legal term, malice. The legal term, why do they always bring me? Where's Westlaw? The legal consider, what is a legal consider? Malice is a conscious, intentional wrongdoing, either of civil, like libel, or criminal act, like assault or murder. So they're basically saying we didn't assault or murder their kid. We just want our kid home. I don't believe it. That was a weird word for him to use. Malice. That is not a word that is common among crane operators. And it's in the middle of an area that it doesn't need to be. And then when they come down to here and they start talking about law enforcement and what they feel law enforcement has done in their case, naturally, for me, Katie and Chris seem a little too happy that nothing has gotten done. But she, in her,
I just want my baby to be okay. Because I want you all to know.
Hold on.
Even my church.
I hate this. They should have a better player in their news. But every time I try to move this forward, it doesn't keep playing. I should be able just to move this like a normal person. All right. So can I go back? Probably won't let me go back. Ah, this. Okay, good. There we go. So right here at 17, we're going to start at 1737 for the purposes of the fact that it's hard to find what I really need in the way it's done here. This is where they're going to start going into talking about whether law enforcement has done everything they feel that they have done. And again, I find the behavior of both Katie and Chris in this particular area problematic because they seem to be, they're trying to show grief, but they're showing no nurturing for one another. No nurturing for one another. He's not consoling her at all. Just listen to it and watch the behaviors and how stiff both Katie and Chris are discussing this.
The state. I mean, do you feel like they're doing as much as they can? I mean, you all have been right there in the front seat, seeing everything that's underway.
As far as I know, they're doing everything. Anything and everything has been an option. They have brought in assets and resources from various counties, potentially other states. I mean, I don't know how much more they could do, but we're grateful for everything they have done.
You know what? I always say this whenever it's Brian Laundrie's Parents 2.0 a little bit, where they won't go out and search. You know what they could have done? They could have actually put their feet on the ground and actually looked at places. But you know what? It doesn't seem like they ever take their child outside of the house. It sounds to me like Katie and Chris shove him in his room, throw some trinkets and other stuff down on the floor for him and keep him in his room to play. And don't come out of the room. Don't bother me. Don't do this. Don't do that. Here's your toys. Play your video games. Go to bed. That's how I feel.
They're amazing, but they still haven't brought my baby back.
This. Watch.
Ooh.
What? Does that remotely look like proper body language for a stepfather consult? Like, he's not even reaching his arm over there and rubbing her back. Did you guys see that? The behavior is totally off. They haven't brought my baby back. He didn't put her arm around and say, I feel like an arm would have went over her back and consoled her and said, oh, they will, honey. They will, He's like, they will. Yep. Yeah, they'll bring him home. He's coming home, babe. Don't worry. He's just tight. He's so tight. It's like he's holding his hands. He can't move. She's not breaking down and he's not trying to console her. This is not what I usually am accustomed to when I have parents of missing children for this significant amount of time. I usually have a mom that's about to go to a freaking insane asylum. Well, we can agree that he's no genius. He's no genius, that's for sure. And where's the last? Oh, there's one other spot that I want you guys to hear. So there's that one about the malice. And then she says something about proving. Here it is, 1835. Where are we right now? Hold on, let me find it. 1835. And then she starts talking about proving something.
Getting through this and bringing him home. What is the reaction to the fact that somehow his image, he hasn't been captured on any video anywhere?
I know that it was very dark that night. I mean, it gets dark around here at night in general,
But we do have Chris saying on Smiley's World that if somebody was to break into their house, it would be captured. A figure would be captured on the camera. But here, they have no explanation why their son's figure or a shadow has not been captured on any camera. Any camera. But figures from inside the house standing at the front window could be caught on there. Flashlights on the outside of the house going to an anonymous car can be caught on a camera. But Sebastian walking out that door or walking down the road, none of it was caught on camera. Is he a vampire? I mean, maybe that would explain why Sebastian wasn't seen on any video camera. Maybe he's a vampire. I heard vampires are not seen on camera or mirrors. Everybody else seems to have been caught on the cameras. We got flashlights caught on a camera, anonymous car caught on the camera. We got lights going on and off inside the house caught on camera, but we have no boy coming outside of the house at all on camera. But we have all these other things on camera. Let's hear what Katie has to say.
So far, we haven't found him on any camera footage to prove where he's at.
To prove.
Where he's gone.
To prove another word that is really suspect to me from a parent. The word prove, I have never heard a mother use before in explaining details of their missing child. This is a first for me.
I know that they're looking, and I'm asking everybody and anybody that has cameras, trail cams, stores, to check even from before he went missing, just to see if there's anything at all.
And now they have to interject even before he went missing. Why? Because law enforcement started asking people for videos from before his alleged time of his disappearance. And the only time we hear law enforcement start looking further out is usually when they don't believe the story of the person giving it to them. We saw this happen in the Elijah Vu case. He was reported missing on February 20th, except law enforcement within, I think, 24 hours started looking all the way back to February 12th. February 12th, 8 days before. 8 days before. So we definitely have, experience. And our experiences, and even the, what was her name? Why can't I think of her name? I covered her case. Maddie up in Iowa. Remember that Adam guy, Adam and Maggie? Adam is the one that unalived his wife, and he ended up dumping her body by his parents' house. Do you guys remember their? I got them. I know their names, but I can't remember their last name. Fravel, remember that? Adam Fravel and Fravel and his girlfriend. When they started going for the videos, they were looking for videos past that date and time, but they were looking for him. They were looking for where her minivan had traveled. That's why they were looking for that. So every experience I have related to the expansion of the timeline and videography, it's a direct correlation to law enforcement not believing the person that's making the statement. So anyways, guys, that's kind of really all I have for right now. Let me just call them back. That's really all I have right now. So that expanded videos is very telling for me. It means that they don't believe that this child left when he left. Madeline Kingsbury, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's been on the tip of my tongue for 2 days. Yeah, Madeline Kingsbury. That's it. And I actually went there and followed that. I ended up getting lost, and they have horrible internet services out there. I'm sorry, in 2023 or 2020, it was 2023 when I went there. In 2024, we should not have internet problems anywhere in this country. Like we've had, 1994 is when our internet was born. Okay, you're talking about 30 years. 30 years of internet. And we still have dead zones in the United States. There's no good excuse for that. The states and counties have got to step up their infrastructure, and they got to start getting these resources in, because I got to tell you, people rely on their cell phones. People rely on their GPSs. They don't look at maps to see, if I go into this area, am I going to get lost? I love. There's some places that still have that. There's some places that still have that. Are you kidding me? I can tell exactly what type of community I go into if they still have a Radio Shack. Okay? I'm sorry. So I live in a dead zone here in Texas. Yeah. But you know what really pisses me off, Loma, is that down by the border, where we got people getting smuggled in, they have the best internet and Wi-Fi service anywhere in a desolate area I have ever seen in my life. The best of the best is right there at the border in the middle of nowhere. Make that make sense. Our government actually gives our illegals like the best internet so they can make sure that they contact their people to pick them up. They don't want them sitting in the desert. I'm telling you, you can't make some of this stuff up. All right, guys, that's really all I have for right now. We will be breaking more of this down as I break it down. And I'm sorry for being so harsh on Duchess, but that was just totally uncalled for, totally unprofessional. And I actually liked her. I had no idea we had this beef up until recently. So it's obviously her beef, not mine. But you know what? If that's your professionalism and your integrity, that you will actually judge somebody without even having a conversation with them, then you aren't no good. Sorry, you aren't no good. I have never judged you before having a conversation with you. You were in my chat. I said hi to you. I have never had a conversation with the lady for her to say anything about me. And if people have a problem with me protesting, that is their problem. You want me to tell you why? Because it's protected by the Constitution of the United States. So if you're offended by our Constitution, maybe you're in the wrong country. Just saying. Just saying. Have a great day, y'all. We'll be keeping it real here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. God bless. I'll go out with a little bit of something. We'll go out. Actually, we'll go out with two endings. We'll go out with two endings. I think you'll appreciate this one.
Andrea, aka Bullhorn Betty here. Look what I found. It looks like a lot of people on YouTube. Right here. Right here. This is a real ass right here. Like many people on YouTube. All you need to do is show an asshole a little love. Right? Right? Tell him. What you need to do? What you need to do? Huh? What you need to do? Oh, too many assholes on YouTube. Say it. Say it with me, baby. Say there's just too many people. Too many people on YouTube that look like you, huh? So the next time you want to be an ass, maybe you should come out here and hang out with the ass. Just saying. You want to be a jackass?
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.